No Democrat is saying that there's no crime in this city.
Do you think D.C. is genuinely safe?
Do you understand what you're saying?
Did I say that?
Do you think the current D.C. Police Department is equipped to tackle this problem?
Did I say that D.C. is safe?
Do you think they're tackling the non-safety correctly? Life is going to get better.
How can you tell them that?
It is.
How can you tell them that?
Arbitrary carjackings and thuggery by street gangs, that's going to go down because they are actually, it's like crime has evaporated almost overnight. I know we all have friends there. I know that they feel a lot safer. I know we're hearing
it's been a week. People are not leaving their houses. There's a difference between police presence and a police state.
Prolonged active policing, more cops on the beat, putting violent criminals in jail. Do you really believe that the Democrat-controlled is going to do that?
You're right.
Over the last several years, you've got police departments.
Democrats are saying that there's no crime in D.C.
The last several weeks, they've been saying, "Oh, well, this is down 30%. This is down 20%."
Let's put our thinking caps on here for just a second. There's a difference.
Juvenile case. What are you going to do about that?
But wait a second, though. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Hold on, wait a second. Stop. Hold on.
That's to decrease crime. You invest in public education.
I was just going to say, I mean,
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got one of the long-lost Hanson brothers. You guys have literally gotten all my references. Even when I called Stephen Miller fascist powders, that one really shocked me. But anyways, let's get right into this segment and we'll talk about it.
He then told the story of an unnamed man who has apparently been in hiding and relying on DoorDash since COVID.
They said it was just, we couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row and he hadn't gone out for 4 years.
Sir, that's the tell, Terry. That's the tell. Don't know who this guy is, but apparently.
I actually believe that man does exist. He is 100% a Republican or conservative. This is how they would react. They're literally scared of everything. They're such wimps. I've met so many in my life. They see minorities at a grocery store and run home and tell all their friends and family how scary the city was. They hear loud music in the city and they freak out.
This is where President Trump has this understanding of what's been going on in D.C. But Terry, tonight, Washingtonians hit the streets as well. There's a juxtaposition between what Trump is saying and what D.C. residents are saying with their protests and also saying in the polls that we've seen this week. Almost 80% do not approve of what Trump is doing here.
They don't. They recognize a problem in parts of the city. I've been traveling around the city over the past few days for a piece I'm doing, and I was in Anacostia, east of the river, Congress Heights, where the most crime happens. They haven't seen a single federal officer. They call it a kabuki theater. They're like, this is where most of the murders happen. It's a show. Other places, there are checkpoints going on. There have been arrests made. There have been outstanding warrants. They were executed on people, and people are happy about that. But what they don't like is the loss of control and the militarization, the sense that the checkpoints are discouraging parents from sending their kids to school. They're discouraging people from having families visit, especially if they're black and brown.
Yeah, I'm going to play a clip from one of the people that you spoke to, Andrea Thomas. She talked about exactly that. She's got family members in Virginia that she's worried about bringing them into Washington in this particular moment. Listen.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable asking them anymore to cross over into what honestly starts to feel like occupied territory. Because if they drive across the bridge and they're stopped by loud, aggressive, armed troops and asked where they're going or why they're here or if they have ID, my 80-year-old parents are going to be flustered.
And what she's concerned about is that being flustered in that situation can trigger a response. Her mom is Vietnamese, her dad struggles with dementia, they're in their 80s. This is a brand new situation. That's the way it feels like to people on the DC streets.
I mean, how free can you feel if you're walking around and there are soldiers with military-grade weapons patrolling the streets waiting for you to make a mistake? I think that Americans inherently they reflexively crave freedom. I think that all of the people in D.C. that would admit that there are problems with the community there, would like people who are serious about providing holistic answers to those problems. But if you ask them whether or not they would be willing to trade their freedom of movement for any amount of safety, most Americans would probably tell you no.
This is such a fascinating conversation to me, because for weeks, opponents of Donald Trump were dismissing that residents of D.C. and visitors to our nation's capital felt unsafe. No, look at the statistics. Look at the numbers, some of which we know were manipulated and not accurate. But now look at the statistics of the last week. Carjackings down 83%, robberies down 46%, car thefts down 21%. As of last night, 7 days without a murder in the District of Columbia. This was a man-made disaster because D.C. was not doing what they needed to do to protect their citizens and make it a safe environment for people who live there and who visit there. And it took the President of the United States to act.
Only a Republican can see a 30-year low in crime and say police weren't doing their job. And it isn't enough. And of course, if you fill the streets with military, of course crime is going to go down. Like, who's going to commit crimes in those conditions? But it's obviously not sustainable. This guy's such an idiot. The human platypus there, citing all these numbers going down. Okay, let's say that is true with the crime, which it may be for this past week. Is it worth it? 8 in 10 residents, you know, the people that live there, not visit D.C. to give Trump a lap dance, they say they don't want them there. Because who the F would? Would you want them in your neighborhood? That's what they should ask him. Would you want them in your street? Look how it looks over there. It looks like there's a live active shooter somewhere or something. Who wants to be around that? These people act so much dumber than they are and confused.
Question, why do you trust the numbers?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, did you trust the initial numbers?
Well, I did. And I'm sure that those numbers probably...
So you don't trust these because they're Trump numbers, right?
No, that's actually not what I said. I asked you why you trust them. I think those numbers are probably accurate, but I think that the numbers before were probably accurate.
Yeah, then you should celebrate these.
I think the numbers that also have said that over the past 30 years, we've seen unbelievable safety in America. We're talking about D.C. in 2025. You go back to D.C. in 1995, then you have almost 450 murders. Anyone right now who is telling you that you are living in the most unsafe time in American history, they're just lying. And it's just not true. It's statistically not true. And the question is not whether or not it's true or false. It's a lie. The question is actually, why are they lying to you? And what I would ask you is, if you didn't believe the numbers that said crime was this crazy albatross of the cities, why do you believe the numbers?
I think the question is...
Can I just say that Pete is right, that there is a palpable increase in the quality of life in D.C. right now. It's like crime has evaporated almost overnight. I know we all have friends there. I know that they feel a lot safer. I know we're hearing
it's been a week. People are not leaving their houses. There's a difference between police presence and a police state. And police presence, yes, makes people feel more safe and makes people be more safe. But police presence means community policing. It means trust. It means infrastructure. It means police who actually are invested in the future of that community, not National Guardsmen who are dropped in from 6 other states who can only legally stay there for 30 days and who are, by all accounts, there for performative reasons. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are going around getting content. They have content creation teams joining law enforcement to
I think Democrats are
these arrests.
Let me play one thing. I mean, this is a...
Of course, the Hansen brother is going to say that she and all her friends feel so safe because she knows. Obviously, they wouldn't target tiny blonde white women. You just heard Terry Moran mention how black and brown people, families aren't even visiting family in D.C. because we know how it is to be harassed, questioned, probed, as if we were a criminal just for existing, and how quickly things can escalate with police. They simply wouldn't harass one of the Hansen brothers. She knows this very well, has to. But this is what Republicans do. They play like they're the dumbest person on the planet.
Republican Senator Tom Tillis talking about this issue. Just listen to what he said.
D.C. has a crime problem. The D.C. leadership has allowed the crime problem to get worse. They should be held accountable to that. But Where do we stop? Do we honestly think that D.C. has the worst crime problem in the United States? No, it's got a crime problem. But where do we go from here? Do we go to Gary, Indiana, Detroit, pick some red state, go to Memphis, a red state, it's got a crime problem.
Nobody's really disputing the problem, but what he's talking about is this really the right solution? And yeah, I mean, you can look at the numbers over a week, but this is a city. People live there 365 days a year. So when all of this show is over, what happens in D.C.?
Well, but that's not correct that Democrats haven't been disputing that this is a problem, right? It'd be one thing to say, it would be accurate to say that this is a temporary Band-Aid solution that deserves a long-term solution. But Democrats aren't saying that. They're pretending like the problem doesn't exist. And also, do we believe that they're prepared to implement the solution? Let's just look at the history of the D.C. Police Department.
I don't know what evidence you have that Democrats are saying that there's no crime in D.C.
The last several weeks they've been saying, oh, well, this is down 30%. This is down 20%.
Let's put our thinking caps on here for just a second.
Oh, Abby, come on. You set me up with that. You know they don't have thinking caps. Come on.
There's a difference between there is no crime and crime has been decreasing, which is a fact, okay? Even if you don't like the numbers, murders, okay? You're either dead or you're not dead, decreasing over the last couple of years. So there's a difference between those two things, and I understand the rhetoric of it all, but no Democrat is saying that there's no crime in this city.
You think D.C. is genuinely safe?
Do you understand what you're saying?
Did I say that?
Do you think the current D.C. Police Department is equipped to tackle this problem?
Did I say that D.C. is safe?
Do you think they're tackling the non-safety correctly?
You just said, do you think D.C. is safe? I did not say that.
Well, I lived there for a while.
I used to own a home there. I understand the nature of crime in D.C. I understand the nature of crime outside of the mall.
Do you think the local government was going to tackle it?
That is not the issue.
Do you think the government was going to tackle it?
The question is, what is the solution? Is the solution a 30-day
prolonged active policing,
of
more cops on the beat, putting violent criminals in jail? Do you really believe that the Democrat-controlled is going to do that?
You're right.
Over the last several years, you guys,
hold on a second.
The D.C. police budget stagnated and 700 cops were taken out of the police department.
Correct. You're correct. But that sustained policing, increased police on the streets, an increased police budget, all of those things would help. None of that is what's happening right now. But that's the problem.
Were they going to do that?
But do you see how you do you see how you just reorient the?
Hey, Hanson brother, what do you want? 1,000-year lows? Let's go for prehistoric crime rate lows. Prehistoric era lows. Abby just gave up with her. She's pretending to be as stupid as she sounds. She knows what Abby is saying. But this is what they do. They act so oblivious when they don't have an argument. The point Abby's making is that this isn't what Trump is doing in D.C. They aren't even going into areas where there is the crime. And all Hanson says that, well, were Dems going to do it? Is D.C. safe in your eyes? Trump and Republicans, that's not what they're doing now. And yes, the police in D.C. are objectively doing a good job. Hence the 30-year effing low in crime rates. I don't care what you or conservatives say they feel. Facts don't care about your feelings. That's your party's little slogan. Is there more to do? Of course. Like the other top 10 cities in crime, which what they said, DC was 17 or something like that. Which, yes, there's crime in DC. And yes, things can be done. But this is not what this is about. Is clearly the point Abby's making. Like, am I going crazy over here? Am I missing something? That goofy Hanson brother is... she's lost it.
Conversation. What was said was, we'll say it was a fact. The fact is that whether or not you think safe is relative. I probably feel safer in places that you don't feel safe, right? Mm-hmm. Like, safe is relative. But the fact is that the crime was going down. There was a spike, and the crime was going down. So, to militarize the city and really put a lot of American citizens in a place where I know a whole bunch of people that feel more unsafe in D.C. now than they felt in D.C. a couple of weeks ago. So whose safety are we really litigating?
If that is their perception, that's unfortunate because their quality of life is going to get
How can
better.
you tell them that?
It is.
How can you tell them that?
Arbitrary carjackings and thuggery by street gangs, that's going to go down
this
because they are actually
with the
targeting
National
the
Guard
issue.
is unsustainable. So it's not
I agree with
actually
you.
changing
I agree
anything.
with you.
So, okay, so
It's
let's
temporary.
agree. Let's agree
So hopefully
that
the DC
long-term
police will step
solutions-
up after they see that it works.
Let's agree that long-term solutions are very important,
Of
right?
course.
Okay, we can all agree on that. Now, what are the long-term solutions? We agree that more police in general is a good thing, especially when they're well-trained police who care about the communities that they're operating in.
Yes.
Also, if Donald Trump genuinely wanted to tackle issues of public safety and crime in D.C., he would not be bragging that he has decreased FEMA's budget for D.C. since last year 44%. And if he actually wanted to deal with crime in D.C., there are proven things, proven policies that legislators can pass that invest in local communities.
Cops on the beat.
You actually want
Cops
to
on the beat.
decrease crime.
Cops
You
on the
invest
beat.
in public
Federal government has
education.
withheld money.
I was just
Make
going
sure that
to say, I mean,
Cops.
the Republican-led Congress.
She's like defective, like a defective product. What's wrong with her? Cops. If Trump cared about police, he would not have incited a coup and had cops got beaten the crap out of. And you know what else he did? Release those people out of jail, pardon them. 1,600 of them that beat the crap out of cops. But he cares about crime. Oh yeah, he cares about crime, cabrona. How about release the Epstein files? You guys care about crime so much, right? These guys are a effing joke. Every time they bring up crime, those two things need to be brought up. Trump pardoned the January 6 rioters that beat the crap out of cops. And then he refuses to release the Epstein files along with Republicans. I don't want to hear crime from the party of child abuser excusers. I don't want to hear it.
Slashed $1 billion from DC's
$1 billion.
budget. That would have been money that went to
public
to
Was it
hiring
community
cops.
policing? Because that's a euphemism for law enforcement
my
without
friend.
teeth.
Listen,
Not
just
the same,
straight
I'm
up,
afraid.
just straight up money. All of the money. Okay, just
Okay.
$1 billion that would have gone to all things from schools to police. It just evaporated because Congress can. So that is another place where if they wanted to fund more cops on the beat, they could do that. They actually have the power to do that
And
right
there's
now.
Another thing that I heard from a fellow in Anacostia who acknowledged, look, he said, if there are 10 murders in your neighborhood and it goes down to 8, that is no reason for a party. So he didn't like people saying the crime wasn't down, okay? He also said what he wanted to see the federal government do is, A, some of these show kabuki theater troops are nowhere near the worst part of town. And second, guns. He said the guns flowing into D.C. that cause the killings are from, as he put it, red states. Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia. They're from gun shows and flea markets. And why won't the federal government? It's a federal law. He said he knew what he was talking about. It's a federal law. Why won't it be enforced
the
to save
street
the
gangs.
children of
Wait,
street
no,
gangs.
hold on. Wait a second.
Juvenile gangs.
What
are you going to do about that?
They gotta get the guns.
But wait a second, though.
To combat the gangs?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hold on, wait a second. Stop. Hold on.
Wait,
Absolutely.
I don't
wrong
think-
with
I
her?
don't know why you're arguing about that because the Trump administration is touting that they've taken illegal guns off the streets. They understand that that's a problem.
Right,
I see they're like-
so a lot of times when you're talking to some of the folks on the right and you're trying to have good faith arguments and debates about them, and you say, hey, maybe one of the root problems of crime and violent crime everywhere is the easy access to guns and weapons that are made to kill people. And then they stop short. They stop short of saying, hey, the leading cause of death for kids is guns. Let's talk about the guns. So I don't think that it's about safety at all. I think that it's actually about, in my opinion,
Gun control.
not gun control, but I think it's actually about
We've made a
who
full circle.
feels safe. And there are a lot of people that look like me that are walking around D.C. right now, and they just don't feel safe.
All right, we got to leave it there, guys. Coming up next.
This is all a game to the Hanson brother. Full circle. Yeah, you don't think guns are an issue? Like, this is what I mean. These people don't care. Children get splattered year round. These people don't care because, God forbid, they're not able to, play around with their guns, clean it, and shoot at beer cans. Like, these people are such losers. And again, somebody needs to ask, what do you want, papi? 1,000-year low? Prehistoric era lows in crime? Corner these idiots and make them look as stupid as their arguments. And again, I'm by no means against cops. I think most are decent people. But this isn't about that. This isn't about making any community safer. It's all a performance. juicy red meat for Republicans to chew on, and for idiots like her and the human platypus over here to have these dumbass talking points. It's all a performance. All a distraction from the Epstein files, for sure. Just like the attack on the black history in museums. Again, like, let's aim for a 1,000-year low, guy. Let's aim for a 1,000-year low in crime. Republicans eat this crap up because, you know, as they say, you are what you eat. But I'm going to leave it there. And one more thing, if they cared about crime, maybe you should not have took money from the lowest income earners, take their Medicaid and their benefits away, and give it to the super rich. Because guess what else causes crime to the number one cause in crime is poverty, you dumbasses. But yeah, let's give the rich, the top 10%, 70% of the benefits. That'll fix crime. That'll make communities safer. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please let me know if you know what I'm talking about with the Hanson brothers. But please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel, really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.